Peter Francisco was more than a soldier. He was a legend, a warrior whose strength and bravery left an indelible mark on the American Revolution. But who was he really? Where did he come from? And how did a mysterious abandoned boy grow into one of the most feared and celebrated fighters of the Revolutionary War? This is his story. Welcome to History, where we bring you profound, historic, and timeless tales of courage, mystery, and resilience. Twice a week, we explore the moments and figures that shaped history. Be sure to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. It all began in 1765 when a ship docked at City Point, Virginia. The crew went about their business, unloading cargo and preparing for the next journey. But when they departed, they left behind something far more precious than any shipment. A young boy, alone and confused. He couldn't speak English. His clothes were worn and tattered. He was frightened but defiant. The only language he knew was Portuguese, and no one could determine where he had come from. Rumors spread. Some whispered that he was the son of Portuguese nobility, kidnapped by pirates and abandoned in the colonies. Others speculated that he had simply stowed away and been left behind when he was discovered. The truth, however, remains a mystery to this day. A local judge, Anthony Winston, a wealthy plantation owner and the uncle of Patrick Henry, took pity on the child. He brought him into his home, gave him a name, and raised him as his own. From that moment forward, Peter Francisco was destined for something extraordinary. Growing up on Winston's plantation in Virginia, Peter was surrounded by sprawling forests and open fields. He tested his limits constantly, pushing his body in ways most wouldn't dare. He worked as a blacksmith, a grueling profession that only built upon his already formidable strength. He swung hammers against red-hot iron, lifted heavy metal, and shaped steel with his bare hands. By the time he reached his teenage years, he was unlike anyone else in the colony. Standing at a towering 6 feet 6 inches and weighing over 260 pounds, Peter was a giant among men. But it wasn't just his height that made him remarkable. It was his raw, almost inhuman strength. Stories about him spread throughout Virginia. He lifted barrels that usually required multiple men, carried plows meant for oxen as if they were twigs. Despite his imposing presence, Peter was known for his kindness and humility. He never bullied others or used his strength for cruelty. But war was coming, and his incredible strength was about to be put to the test. By 1776, the colonies were at war with Britain, and Peter, now 16, was ready to fight. He enlisted in the 10th Virginia Regiment and quickly gained a reputation as an unstoppable force on the battlefield. He fought at Brandywine, Germantown, and Fort Mifflin, suffering wounds that left him bedridden for weeks, while George Washington's army encamped at Valley Forge. Then at Monmouth in 1778, a musket ball tore through his right thigh, a wound that never fully healed. But Peter didn't stop fighting. Then came Stony Point. Under cover of darkness, General Mad Anthony Wayne led a daring nighttime assault on the British fortress. Francisco was in the vanguard. They scaled the rocky cliffs in silence, reaching the British defenses undetected. Then chaos. Gunfire erupted. Bayonets clashed in the darkness. Francisco took a brutal 9-inch wound across his stomach, but kept fighting. The pain was unbearable, but he gritted his teeth, pressed forward as British soldiers fell all around him. He moved through that battlefield like a force of nature, cutting through enemy lines with brutal efficiency. Some reports claim he captured the British flag himself. Others say he refused to fall back despite being badly injured. Either way, his name would be forever linked to one of the most daring victories of the war. By 1781, Peter's reputation was so great that Marquis de Lafayette personally ordered a custom weapon for him, a 6-foot broadsword built to match his incredible strength. At Guilford Courthouse, North Carolina, Francisco found himself in the heart of a brutal close-quarters fight. British and American forces clashed in the thick forest, soldiers hacking at each other with swords and bayonets. The air was thick with smoke, the smell of blood and gunpowder choking the battlefield. Peter gripped his broadsword, his muscles burning with exhaustion. His breath was ragged, his vision blurred from sweat and dirt, but he didn't stop. One enemy fell, then another, then another. By the time the battle ended, he had allegedly slain 11 British soldiers in hand-to-hand combat. Then a bayonet tore into his leg. Blood seeped into the earth beneath him. He should have collapsed, but Peter Francisco never collapsed. Though the British won the battle, their losses were catastrophic. Cornwallis's army was so weakened that it set the stage for their ultimate defeat at Yorktown later that year. Then came another moment that cemented his legend. In the heat of battle, as British forces closed in, Francisco saw an American cannon stuck in the mud. The enemy was moments away from seizing it. Ignoring all the chaos around him, he surged forward, lifted the 1,100-pound cannon barrel onto his shoulders, and carried it off the field, denying the British a crucial advantage. This feat would become one of the most enduring stories of his career. Francisco barely had time to recover before he found himself in another fight. While making his way home to Virginia, he ran straight into Banastre Tarleton's infamous cavalry unit, British dragoons known for their ruthless attacks on American forces. 9 enemy soldiers surrounded him. They ordered him to remove his silver shoe buckles. Peter refused. As one soldier bent down to take them, Francisco struck. He seized the soldier's sword and lashed out, nearly severing his attacker's hand. The other dragoons fired their pistols. One bullet glanced off his side, another misfired. Francisco grabbed another musket, wrestled a British cavalryman off his horse, and rode away into the night. The event became known as Francisco's Fight, adding yet another chapter to his already legendary story. Later that year, he returned to George Washington's army and stood at Yorktown as the British surrendered in October 1781. He had fought in nearly every major campaign of the war, survived multiple serious wounds, and had become a symbol of American resilience. After the war, Francisco's life wasn't easy. Like many veterans, he struggled. He worked as a blacksmith, married 3 times, and raised 6 children. Eventually became the Sergeant-at-Arms for the Virginia State Senate. But time catches up with even the strongest men. The man who once carried cannons on his shoulders now found it difficult to lift his tools. The aches of old battle wounds lingered, a reminder of the war that had defined his life. In 1831, at the age of 71, Francisco died of appendicitis. The Virginia General Assembly adjourned early so its members could attend his funeral, an honor reserved for only the most respected figures. Today, 4 states, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Maryland, and Virginia, recognize March 15th, the anniversary of the Battle of Guilford Courthouse, as Peter Francisco Day. His name is etched into monuments, his face once stamped into U.S. postage, and his legacy immortalized in Revolutionary War history. Peter Francisco was one of the most extraordinary soldiers of the American Revolution, a giant in stature and courage, a man who fought battles that shaped a nation. His legend will never die.
New Heath Story episodes drop twice a week only on the Jim Heath channel. If you'd like to help keep Heath Story going, consider becoming a member. Click below to join.